This is a little video for a play along of the Grade 2 ABRSM Piano Scales and Arpeggios, the new syllabus 2021. So either you can follow the book, the metronome marks that we have in there, or if you have the pieces book that you're referencing, just turn to the inside of the back page and you'll have a list of the scales there. So they're quite new for this syllabus, a few changes. So it's really useful to reference those. For my practice, whilst it might say hands together only for the exam, it's always useful to practice hands separately first to check your coordination. So I'm going to be referencing this book as we go through the scales. So first of all, you want to have a little look at the speed. This is the minimum speed required for the exam. And you're looking for an even tone, of course, even tempo. So we would check the metronome. So this is how I would set up my metronome. I've got mine as an app on my phone, but here it is on the iPad. So crotchet equals 66. So I'm going to find 66. And the scales are written in quavers. And we have crotchet equals 66, so there are 2 quavers in here. So I want to actually have quavers at the bottom here you can select. So I've chosen, each metronome is a bit different, but this one's really straightforward and I've selected quavers. So for each tick and tock, that will be when I place the notes of the scale. So this is the minimum speed. I'll just take that volume down a little bit. And this is just a play along. So I'll be playing through with the scales that I select for my students and for the exam. First of all, we will have gone through every single scale, all the naturals, the harmonics and the melodics. But then for the exam and this playthrough, we will just have the scales as we have them for the exam. So I will play hands separately for the scales that have to be hands together in similar motion, just so it's a little check, and then remembering in the exam that those scales will only be hands together, but always just practice them hands separately first. So we get the metronome going, and for me, I would always choose left hand, right hand, and hands together. So G major, I'll do left hand first. Right hand. And then hands together. Next in the book we have F major. Of course in the exam these will be asked in random order, but we'll go into F major next. So not standard fingering now, we'll do left hand first. And right hand. Sort of turned upside down from standard fingering. And hands together. For the natural or harmonic melodic minors, my students, we will in the exam present the harmonic minor. So that's the only scale that I'm going to be playing now. So we'll do left hand, right hand, hands together, A minor, harmonic. Left hand first, ready, and. Right hand. hands together. So we're back to standard fingering for this one. Moving on to the D, so D minor harmonic, left hand. When it's hands separately, you can start that left hand an octave lower. For now, we'll just check it with the hands separately. Left hand octave lower. Ready, and. Right hand, start here. So hands separately, you're just checking that the technique is all in order, and then hands together, standard fingering. And then we move into the selection of scales that are presented hands separately only. And for my students, of course, we will have practiced hands separately and together. In the exam, it's just hands separately. So D major will have left hand first, keeping that metronome going. So we're really used to the speed. D major, ready, and. Next we have A major, ready, and. Right hand. Next, over the page of the scales book, we have the E minor, so the E minor harmonic for my students. Left hand ready, ready, and. Right hand. And then we have G minor, and ours is the harmonic, of course, so ready, and. Right hand. So then we move into the contrary motion. C major is the same speed. So C major contrary motion, ready, and. Next is the chromatic scale using all the semitone steps. And we'll start with the left hand, the same tempo. Ready, and. Right hand, ready, and. Then we move into the arpeggios, and the arpeggios do tend to be a different metronome mark. The metronome mark in the book here is just crotchet equals 63. So I'll just take down a few from the metronome, and this is our speed. A tiny little bit slower, that's all. We've still got crotchets equals 63, so I still want to hear the tick-tock of each quaver because it's notated as quavers. So whilst there are finger choices, for my students we will always have 5, 3, the 3. These are what I would call standard arpeggio fingerings. So these are to stretch open the hands and create a bit of muscle memory for these chord shapes. So we'll always do left hand and then right hand because we have a tendency to not want to practice the left hand. So let's have a little go. So we'll have our hand outstretched with the fingers prepared as much as you can, and you're going to be holding this muscle memory. So D major, arpeggio, left hand, ready, and. Okay, and right hand, fingers 1, 2, 3, ready, and. Then we have A major, left hand. See how I have all those notes ready, ready, and. Right hand, ready, and. Next we have on our list here E minor. So my hand is ready. Got those notes. You see how there's muscle memory. If I see something that says E minor arpeggio in my left hand, I see that in the music, my hand will do that. You've just got this muscle memory of the distance. Okay, so you hold that, you know, oh, E minor, off I go. So left hand, ready, and. Right hand, ready, and. Remember the technique for these arpeggios. Try not to lift up the wrist when the thumb comes under. Rotate and keep your elbows elevated. Everything that we talk about in the lesson. So G minor, straight into that muscle memory. Left hand, ready, and. Right hand, you see, muscle memory. If I'm getting, I don't even have to go there and then line up away from the piano, you just know, muscle memory. G minor, right hand, ready, and. And think of those as that lovely arch of the arpeggio, like a rainbow up to the top and back down to the bottom with a full tone. And there you have it. Those are all the scales and arpeggios for the grade 2. They don't need to take that long to play through because you don't have to have played the first sets of scales hands separately, but that's just good for your practice. And then of course in the exam they will be picked out at random by the examiner. So that's just like a little scales drill that you can play along to. So have fun. Any questions, pop them in the comments below. And enjoy. They're just finger exercises, a really good warm-up, and they are the building blocks for all your wonderful pieces. So really worth knowing and having these shapes as muscle memory under the fingers. So have fun, enjoy, and good luck.